I built the ultimate ad generator app using just Lovable and n8n. All you have to do is upload an image of the product you want to advertise and type any idea you might have about the ad, and then the app takes care of the rest. It uses Google's new AI model, Nanobanana, to create relevant starting images with the product you want to advertise, and then uses Veo3 to turn those images into amazing video ads that companies would pay thousands of dollars to have. Each one of these ads costs less than 50 cents to make, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how you can build this app, step by step. So let's get started. Alright, now the first thing that we need to do is to build a front-end interface for our app. And we're going to do that by using an AI app builder like Lovable, which allows us to create very nice looking front-ends by typing simple prompts. So for our app, I will come over here and type, I want to build an ad generator app. The user should be able to upload an image of the product he wants to advertise, and he should also be able to input any idea that he has about the ad. And I say this one is optional because maybe the user does not have any idea about the ad and he wants to leave it completely up to the AI. So it basically told Lovable to make this optional. And then I said, once he does that, the app is going to go and create the ad. Don't build any of the backend functions of it. I will build all of them in n8n. And you can see how specifically tell Lovable to don't build any of the backend functions, because if I don't say this, Lovable is actually going to go and try to build the backend of the app as well, which it simply is unable to do, meaning we're going to run into a lot of errors. So that's why I specifically tell it to not do that. And then I say, you just focus on building a nice looking UI. It needs to be modern with nice sharp colors, just like this example. And now what I will do, guys, is I will go over to Google and search for nice looking UI. Simply find one that I like. Let's say I like this one, for example, and then what I will do is come over here and simply download it, and then come back over to Lovable, come over here, click on attach file, simply upload the interface I just downloaded, and then come over here and click on enter. This way, Lovable also has a visual example of exactly how I want the app to look like, making it way more likely to give me a result that I would actually like. But while Lovable is building the front-end interface of our app, it's time to go over to n8n and start building the backend. Alright, so I went over to n8n and created a brand new workflow, and now the first thing that we need to do is to add in a trigger. To do that, we simply have to come over here and click on add first step, and then we're going to search for a webhook, guys. And the reason I'm choosing to use a webhook as a trigger and not anything else is because a webhook allows us to connect the front-end interface we're building right now with Lovable to the backend automation we're going to build in n8n. And the only change we have to make in these settings, guys, is over here in the HTTP method. We need to come over here and change it from get over to post, since we're going to be sending a post request over to Lovable in order for us to be able to send and receive data. So that's why we make this change, and then all we have to do is to simply come over here in the URL and simply click on it to copy it in a clipboard. And then we need to come back over to Lovable, where you can see it also finished creating the interface of our app, which I do gotta admit does look pretty good. Now we can obviously improve the way this looks, but first let's get the core functionalities of it nailed down, and then we can actually worry about improving the UI. So to do that, I will simply come over here and say, make sure you send all the data over to this webhook URL. And now what I will do is I will come over here and paste in the webhook URL just copied, and I will come over here and click on enter. So now Lovable is going to take this webhook URL and actually embed it inside our app. So every time we upload an image and give an idea about an ad, we can come over here, click on generate advertisement, and it's going to send all this information over to n8n, from where we can actually create the ad. And boom, Lovable just finished making the changes, so now it's time we actually test the app. Now the first thing that we need to do is to upload the product image. So let's say, for example, we wanted to make an ad about this drink over here. Now obviously this is a Red Bull, but let's assume it's a more unknown drink that we simply want to advertise. All we would have to do is to take an image like this with our phone, or however we want it, and then we could simply open up our app, come over here in the upload product image, simply click on it. Then we would simply need to select the product image that we want, as I did over here. Now obviously we do need to change the way this looks, but we will worry about this later. Now we want to see if we're actually able to transfer all this data over to n8n. And then we could come over here and type in any idea that we might have about this ad. Let's say, for example, we want to make an ad for this product with a man that is inside the forest. All I would have to do is to simply come over here and type, create an ad for this product with a man that is drinking it inside the forest. But then before I come over here and click on generate advertisement, I will need to come back over to n8n and make sure I click on listen for test event in my webhook. This way our webhook actually expects to receive data, because if we do not actually click this is not going to work. And then we can come back over to Lovable and simply come over here and click on generate advertisement. And boom, as you can see, ad creation has started. And if I actually come back over to Lovable, we do see an output over here, guys, but we don't see any binary file over here, which is how we should have received this image. And I deliberately did it this way, guys, because this is an error that most of you would probably run upon. And how we can circumvent that and make n8n being able to receive a binary file is by coming back over to Lovable and simply coming over here and saying, make sure the image that I upload is sent over to n8n as a binary file, and then come over here and click on enter. This way Lovable is going to know, oh, I should send this image not in simple text format, but as an actual binary file over to n8n. Because if you do not specifically tell Lovable that, you're not going to be able to receive the image as you want inside n8n. Alright, so Lovable just finished making the changes, so now all I have to do is to simply come over here and click on generate advertisement again, and boom, as you can see this time, the first thing that I see when I come back over to n8n is a banner file that is called product image. And if I actually come over here and click on view, we can see the actual image that was just uploaded in a Lovable interface. Plus I can also navigate over here in the schema and see all the other parameters along with the idea that I inputted inside my Lovable interface. Now, to be honest, you could also use the text that we had gotten previously and simply transformed it into an image, but with this way, I think it's way easier, so that's why I suggest you to do it like that. So now that we have successfully managed to get a binary file over to Lovable, what we have to do is to simply come and click off here and start building our automation. Now the first thing that we need to do, guys, is to actually take this image and upload it over in a third-party service, so then we're actually able to send it over to Nanobanana. So to do that, I'll simply come over here and type in HTTP, and I'll simply select it. And we're using an HTTP request, guys, because that is how we're going to be able to upload this image over to this third-party service. And now you might say, Damian, what is this third-party service? Well, it is called IMGBB, and it is a completely free way you can upload images by using an API. So that's why I specifically chose this method and not any other. Now the first thing that you need to do is to come over here, click on start uploading and create your account. And once you created your account, you need to search for IMGBB API, and I will leave both links in the description below. So once you click the API link, you will be brought over in this page. Now I know this might seem intimidating, guys, but this is actually super simple to navigate. The first thing that you need to do is to simply come over here and scroll all the way down to where you see this example code over here. And as you can see, we have a CURL, which is just this short snippet of code. Now, all we have to do is to simply come over here and copy all of it, and then come back over to n8n, click on import CURL, simply paste it in over here, and then click on import. And what this does, guys, is it basically populates almost all the settings for us automatically, so we don't have to go and manually do all the configuration ourselves. Now, we do need to make some very minor changes over here, which I will show you exactly how to do. The first thing is we need to come over here to where you see key, and over here we need to input our own unique API key. Now to find our API key, we need to come back over to the API docs and simply scroll all the way over here in the top, and you will be able to see your API key over here. Now all you have to do is to simply come over here and copy it, and then come back over to n8n, simply delete the previous one and simply paste this one in. So now we have managed to successfully configure that. And then the other change we need to make is over here in the send body parameters. We need to come over here to the body content type and change this over from the current option that it is right now to from data, and then over here in the parameter type we need to come over here and change this to n8n binary file, since if you remember this is a binary file that we have over here. Then over here in the name, you simply need to come over here and type in image exactly as I have typed it over here. And then in the input data field name, what we need to do is to input the name of our file, which we can actually see over here. It's called product_image. So all I will do is I will simply come over here, copy it exactly as it is, and I will come over here and simply paste it in. So now we can actually execute this step and upload this file. So I will simply come over here and click on execute step, and boom, as you can see, it's successfully executed. And over here we have a bunch of parameters. But if you come over here and you see we have a schema that is called URL with an IMGBB link, and if I actually take this link, copy it, and come over to Google and simply paste it in over here, we can actually see the image that we just uploaded, which means that we have successfully managed to complete the step. So let me actually come over here and pin this so I do not have to rerun this. And now what we need to do is to simply analyze this image so the AI model can actually have context about what this image is about, so it can actually create a high converting ad. Because if it doesn't know what product we're trying to promote, it obviously is not going to be able to create a very good ad. So to analyze this image, we need to come over here, click on the plus icon, and we're going to search for OpenAI. And then I'm going to come over here in the image actions and simply select Analyze Image. Now the first thing that we need to do is to select our OpenAI credentials. Now if you do not have credentials, all you have to do is to simply come over here, click on Create New Credentials, and then over here you simply need to input your API key. But now you might say, Damian, how am I going to be able to find my API key? Well, you have to go over to platform/OpenAI/API keys. I will leave a link for it in the description below as well, and simply create an account. And then all you have to do is to come over here, click on Create New Secret Key. You simply need to give it a name. I will name it Example. And then you simply need to come over here, click on Create Secret Key. And boom, this is your new API key. All you have to do is to simply come over here and copy it, and then come back over to n8n and paste it in over here. So now that you did that, you can come over here and click on Save, and as you can see, credentials were successfully created. So now you can close this tab off and simply come over here and select your OpenAI credentials. Then for the resource, we'll leave this on Image, Operation, we'll leave it on Analyze Image. Then over here you need to select the model that you're going to use. I personally tend to use GPT-4o mini. You can obviously select any model you want. And then over here the text input, you basically need to tell the AI exactly what it needs to do, which is to let us know of the content of the image and specifically the main object. Then over here in the input type, we'll leave it on image URLs. And then over here in the URLs, if you remember, we actually have the URL of the image we just uploaded. So all we have to do is to turn this into an expression. And then we simply come, take in the image URL and drag and drop it over here. So now I can actually come over here and click on Execute Step, and you will see the AI actually has started analyzing this image and is going to give us an output. And just finished executing, so if I actually open this up, we can see that the main object of the image is a Red Bull energy drink being held in a hand, etc, etc. So we have successfully managed to create the analysis as well. I will actually come over here and pin this data. And now what we need to do is to create 3 different prompts. One for the image generation that we're going to use over to Nanobanana to generate the image, and then 2 other prompts that we're going to use over in Veo3, which the first one is going to be the video generation prompt, and the second one is going to be the voiceover prompt. Because remember, we also want our video to have a nice voiceover. So to generate all of these prompts, we'll come over here, click on the plus icon, and we'll come over here and select an AI agent. And the reason I'm using an AI agent, guys, and not a simple LLM, is because I want to give it access to the Think tool, so it can take more time and think and give us a better result. And you will see how we're going to do that in a bit. But for now, let's actually start and do the basic configurations. Now the first thing that we need to do is to come over here and change this from connect to the trigger node to define below. And this opens up this tab over here where we can input the user message. So we'll simply turn this into an expression and open this up so you guys can take a better look at it. And now I basically need to tell the AI agent exactly what I wanted to do. So I will come over here and say all of this. Now do not get intimidated, I'm going to explain you all of this right now. So I started by saying you're an AI ad creator specialized in making high converting but authentic ads. Then I tell it the inputs it's going to receive. You're going to receive the product description, which, if you remember, is the description that we got from analyzing the image. So I will simply take in that schema and drag and drop it over here, so the AI agent can have access to the product description. And I basically say this explains the product and optionally an idea about the ad. And now what I will do, guys, is I will come over here in my webhook to where I actually have the idea that we inputted about the ad inside our Lovable interface, and scroll all the way down to simply find it, and I will be able to find it over here in the bud parameters in this schema over here that's called add idea. So I will simply come, take the schema and drag and drop this over here. But I also tell the AI agent that sometimes this actually might be empty, because if you remember, this is actually optional and it's not a requirement to generate the ad. And then I basically tell it the task that it needs to do. You need to create an organic, natural feeling ad concept around the product. The ad should feel genuine. Then I tell it some important things. Don't just describe the product image, always place the product in real world context with people, settings and storytelling. Tailor pacing and flow to the aspect ratio of the ad. If it is 9:16 means it's a short, if it's 16:9 means it's a long, so tailor the pacing to that. And then I tell it what the output must include. The product should be introduced naturally, make it feel authentic. It should include 3 image prompts. Then I give some instructions about how these image prompts should be structured. 3 video prompts that should be linked to each image. And then I give an example. And then I say 3 voiceover scripts written in conversational language, like someone sharing or recommending. And I actually did 3 prompts and not 1, simply because I want to generate 3 different ads with each run. Now obviously if you want to generate only 1, you simply come over here and make this only 1. If you want to generate 2, only 2, etc, etc. I think you get the point. And then I simply give an example output over here. As you can see, the first image, the second image description, the third image description, the same with the video prompt, and the same with the voiceover. Now if you want this full prompt along with a whole automation, so you can simply come over here, click on these 3 dots, click on import from file, upload it, and have the whole automation populate for you automatically, you can click the link in my description, where I have all the assets about any video that I have done in this channel, along with many more courses about how you can sell automations by using a bunch of different methods, plus the brand new project that I have started and I exclusively document inside my school community, which is me building my own AI SaaS and trying to scale it over to $1 million. So if you would be interested in this, along with getting access to more than 160 members that are interested in AI and most importantly making money with it, make sure you click the link in the description and you come and check out my school community. So now that we finished with this prompt, I will simply come and close it off. And now we need to come over here and add in a chat model in our AI agent. So I will come over here and click on the plus icon and I will search for OpenAI. Since that is the chat model that I tend to use, you can obviously select any chat model that you want. I will come over here, I will select my credentials, and on the model I will leave it on GPT 4.1 mini and I will simply close this off. Then I will come over here to tools and search for the think tool, because if you remember before, this is the reason I'm using an AI agent. And the reason I really like this tool is because it basically tells your AI agent, hey, stop, take a moment and think more about the response you're going to give me, which actually does make it give you a better response. So that's why I chose to use an AI agent. Now you do not need to configure anything in this tool. It's already set up and good to go. And now what I will do is I will open up my AI agent again and I will make sure I come over here in the required specific output format and I will simply enable this. What this does, guys, if I zoom over here, you can see that it's created a brand new option over here which is called an output parser. So if I simply come over here and click on the plus icon, you can see that I can select from 3 different output parsers. Now for this example, and for the vast majority of the examples that you're going to do, you're simply going to need the structured output parser. So I'll simply select this. And this opens up this interface, which as you can see over here, it has some code. And this is the part where everyone loses their mind. Oh, Damian, this is super technical. I don't know how to code. I cannot actually do this. Well, do not worry, guys. You will not actually have to write any code yourself. All you have to do is to simply close this off, open up your AI agent, scroll all the way down to where you have the example output that you want your AI agent to give. Simply come over here, copy all of this, go over to ChatGPT or any other LLM of your choice, and simply say, give me this output in JSON, and simply paste in the output you want to get, and click on enter. And this way ChatGPT is basically going to write all the code for you, because what an output parser actually does is basically tells your AI agent exactly how you want it to output the information that it's going to give you. And once ChatGPT finishes writing the code, all you have to do is to simply come over here and click on copy code, come back over to n8n, make sure you open up your output parser, simply delete the previous code that it had inside and simply paste this one in. So now if I actually come over here and run my AI agent, you will see that it is thinking right now and creating all of these prompts that we need to create the ad, and you will see it's going to use the structured output parser to output the information in a way that we can actually use it. Because if I actually open this up, you can see we have all of the image prompts over here. The prompt for the first image, the prompt for the second, the prompt for the third. The same with the video prompts, the same with the voiceovers. If we hadn't actually used an output parser, what we would have gotten is basically a big block of text that had all of this information inside it, which means that we wouldn't actually be able to use it very easily, because we can simply come, take the schema, drag and drop it over here if it has all of this information. So that's why we use the output parser to make our life significantly easier. So since now we're done with the AI agent as well, I'll simply come over here and pin this data, so do not have to rerun this. And now what we need to do is to actually start generating our images. Now to do that, I'll simply come over here and click on the plus icon and search for an HTTP request. And the reason I'm using an HTTP request, guys, is because we can generate the images inside n8n, and we're going to need to hit a third-party API service in order for us to generate the images with Nanobanana. And the third-party service we're going to use is called Key AI. And what this basically is, guys, is a marketplace where you can access a bunch of different APIs, all from inside Key AI's interface, which also includes Google's brand new model Nanobanana. And the reason I'm using Key AI and not an alternative to it like Fal AI is because Key AI is way cheaper than Fal AI. That's why from now on you will see me use it a lot. Now, to access the model that we want to use, which is Nanobanana, what we have to do is to come over here and simply click on Explore AI APIs. And this is going to open up this interface. Now, do not get intimidated, guys. This is again super simple to navigate. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to obviously create your account, and you will need to come and add in some money because this is not a free service, guys. Obviously, this is an API, so it does cost some money. And how you're able to do that is by coming over here and clicking on Top Up, and this is going to bring you over in this interface where you basically are able to select how much money you want to add. Now, the least amount of money is $5, which is pretty cheap in my opinion, and actually gives you 1000 credits, which are more than enough to generate a lot of these ads, since each one of these ads that we're going to generate is going to cost us less than 50 cents. So 1000 credits are actually going to go a long way. And once you added some money to your account, as you can see, I have added some over here, what you need to do is to come over here and navigate over to the API market, which is going to open up this page over here to where you can see all the models that Key AI has, and I will leave a link for it in the description below. And then, if we navigate over here, we can see Nanobanana Gemini 2.5 Flash, which is the model that we're going to use. And we can see two options. We have the text to image and we have the image to image. We are going to select the image to image because if you remember, guys, we already have an image with our product, and we basically want to take that product and input it inside a different image that we're then going to use to generate our ad with Veo3. So that's why we selected image to image and not text to image. But now again, over here in the model type, we actually need to come over here and change this from Nanobanana to Nanobanana Edit, because this is actually the image to image section. And then if we scroll down here, then we can actually access the Nanobanana model from over here. We can simply type in a prompt, upload an image, and actually make a run, which is going to cost us only 4 credits, which is pretty cheap, and generate our image. But we cannot actually use this inside our automation from over here. In order for us to be able to use it inside our automation, what we need to do is to use their API. So we simply need to come over here and click on API, which is going to open up the API docs. Now, I know this might seem intimidating again, but it's actually super simple to navigate, because over here we simply have two endpoints, one where we're creating the image, which is called create task, and one where we're basically getting the image back inside the n8n interface, which is the query task over here. So since we right now want to simply create an image, make sure you're in the create task option, and then all you have to do is to simply come over here, scroll all the way down to where you see this request example, because as you can see over here we have a CURL, which if you remember, if we copy this and we input it over in the HTTP request, basically populates all the settings for us automatically. So all you have to do is simply come over here, click on copy, and then come back over to n8n, click on import CURL, simply paste in the snippet of code you just copied, and then click on import. And this populates the vast majority of the settings for us automatically. So we basically don't have to do the majority of the work. Now we still do need to configure some things. And the first thing that we need to configure is over here in the header parameters, where we need to basically input our own unique API key. So then KI can go and charge us according to how much we use the service. Now, to find our API key, what you need to do is to come back over to the KI dashboard and then simply navigate over here in the tab where it says API keys. And over here you can see all the API keys you have generated, and you also have the option to create a brand new one. So I will simply come over here and click on create API key. Then I will simply give it a name. Let me name it Nano for this example. And then I will come over here and click on create. And boom, this is a brand new API key. All you have to do is simply come over here and copy it. And then you can come back over to n8n and you have two options. You can simply come over here, delete your API key and simply paste it over here and you will be good to go. But with this way, you're not actually going to save it inside n8n so you can use it later on. Which means that in the next HTTP request we're going to do, you're going to have to go back there, copy it, come bring it over here and paste it in again, which is not the most optimal way to do it. Because in my opinion, the best way to do it is to simply come over here in the authentication, change this from none to generic credential type, then over here in the generic auth type, come over here and select header auth, and then simply come and click on header auth and click on create new credentials, And then over here you can basically input the same values but permanently save it inside your n8n interface so you can always access it and you don't constantly have to go and find it and copy and paste it over to n8n. So that is how I'm going to do it, but you can do it both ways. Now over here in the name, we need to type authorization exactly as it is typed over here along with a capital A, because if you do not type it exactly as it is over here, this is not going to work. And then over here in the value, let me actually turn this into an expression so you guys can actually see it. You need to type better with a capital B at the start, then space, and then paste in your API key. So it should be better, space, and then your API key. And now let me actually come over here and actually name it so I don't forget what this is. I will name it key AI, and then I'll simply come over here and click on save. Boom, our credentials were successfully created. So now we can actually close this off and simply have them selected from over here, so we don't actually need these header parameters, which means that we can actually turn them off. Now, do gotta preface this, make sure you do not share your API key with anyone. I will delete mine before uploading this video. And then what you need to do is to simply come over here in the body content type, and we need to configure this source snippet of code. Now again, everyone is losing their mind over here. Oh, Damian, this is code, this is super technical. But guys, this is actually super simple to navigate. Now if you actually sit there and take a look at it, you will basically be able to understand exactly what this is. As you can see over here we have the model, then over here we have the prompt, which is basically the prompt to send over to Nanobanana in order for us to generate the image. And then over here the image URLs is basically the image of our product that we want to upload over to the service. But even if you did not understand what this was about, all you would have to do is to simply navigate over to the docs and simply scroll down here, and you would be able to see each one of these parameters with the exact explanation underneath. And that's why the docs are actually super useful, guys. And a lot of beginners actually do not use them, which is a massive mistake, because the docs literally tell you exactly how you can use the software. You can see like callback URL, you don't know what that is. Basically gives you an explanation over here from the person that actually created the software. So all you have to do is simply come over here to the docs and simply read them if you don't understand what each one of these parameters is. Input prompt, what could this be? Well, over here you have an explanation, and over here you also have an example. So I really want to emphasize this. Do not be afraid to go and look at the docs. Your docs are actually your best friend because they tell you exactly how you can use any API. And I'm showing you this because I don't just want you to blindly follow this video to get the system up and running. I want you to actually understand how this works so you can build similar systems completely by yourself. So now that I show you how you can read the docs, let's come over here and make the configurations. Now for the model, we'll leave this exactly as it is. Nanobanana edit on the callback URL. This is basically a URL that we can receive the result back, but we're not going to use this because we're going to use another HTTP request to get the result back. So you can basically leave this exactly as it is. Then over here in the prompt, you can see that we basically have a prompt message over here that tells Nanobanana what image it needs to create exactly. So what we're going to do is simply delete the fake prompt that exists over here, and if you remember, our AI agent outputted 3 prompts for the images that we're going to create. So all we have to do is to simply take in the array of the prompts that we have and simply drag and drop it inside these 2 quotes over here. And boom! Now the service is going to have access to the prompt that our AI agent created over here. And we're going to do the same thing with the image URLs. I'll simply come over here, delete the fake URL that exists inside here, and I will close the AI agent. I will open up my HTTP request where I have the image URL we uploaded over to IMGBB, and I will simply take in the schema and drag and drop it over here. Now also, Nanobanana has access to our initial image that we uploaded as well. So now all we have to do is to simply close this off, and we can actually execute the step to send a request over to Nanobanana to start generating our images. So I will simply come over here and click on execute step, and boom, you can see the request was sent successfully. So now I'll simply come and pin this data, so I do not have to rerun this if something goes wrong. Because remember guys, this request does actually cost money, so make sure you don't constantly run it again and again, because you are going to be charged for that. And now what we need to do is to simply add in a wait node, which is going to do what? Wait till the images are done generating. Now, for 3 images to be generated, I think 1 minute is more than enough time, if I'm gonna be honest, so I'll simply leave it on 1 minute. You can obviously put it lower if you want. These images tend to be generated within 20 seconds, but just to be safe, I will leave this at 1 minute. And once that minute has passed, guys, what we need to do is to come over here and add in another HTTP request, which what we're going to do with this HTTP request is basically get the images that Nanobanana just generated back over in our n8n interface. So to do that, we have to come back over to the docs and come over here to where you see API endpoints, and since this time we want to get the results back inside n8n, we need to select query task get. So this opens up this brand new docs over here, and again you can see that we have a CURL. So all we have to do is to simply come over here and copy it, come back over to n8n, click on import CURL, and then simply paste in the snippet of code we just copied. Then we click on import, and boom, this populates the majority of the settings for us automatically, so we don't have to go and manually add them ourselves. Now there are two changes that we need to make over here. The first one is to obviously authorize ourselves, but if you remember, since we have saved our API key inside n8n, we can simply turn off the send header parameters and simply come over here to authentication, select generic credential type, and come over here and select header auth, and then we can simply come over here and select our key AI credentials. So now we have successfully managed to authorize ourselves. Now the other change that we need to make is we need to go over here in the query parameters. As you can see, we have the task ID and a fake task ID over here. If I actually open up the HTTP request that we sent, which is the request that we sent over to Nanobanana to generate the image, we can see that we have a task ID over here, which is the specific ID from the request that we sent. So all we have to do is to turn this into an expression, delete the previous fake task ID, and simply take in the task ID schema from here and drag and drop it over here. So now if I come over here and click on execute step, boom, it just finished executing, and as you can see over here, it was successful. So let me actually come over here and pin this data, so do not have to rerun this. We have a bunch of data, but the main part that we care about is over here in the result JSON, which as you can see, we have a URL over here, which if we actually come over here and copy, and we open up a brand new tab and simply paste it in, we can see a man that is inside the forest holding a Red Bull can, which is again exactly what we wanted. And that happened for all three of our requests, because as you can see over here, we have 3 items. But as you can see over here in the result JSON, we do have a problem, because we don't just have the URL of the image, we also have all of these text, result, URLs, etc., a bunch of brackets, which we do not actually want inside the schema. And now do not ask me why it returns it in that way, guys. I honestly have no idea. You should ask key AI that. But to simply fix this, all we have to do is to come over here, click on the plus icon and add in an LLM model. I will select ChatGPT and I will select message model. Now you can obviously select any LLM model that you want, including a free one. It's going to get the job done just fine. Then over here in the model, I will personally select GPT-4o latest, and then over here in the prompt, I will simply say, take in this, and what I will do is I will take the schema that includes the image URL, simply drag and drop it over here, so the model has access to that, and then I say, and only output the actual URL that is inside and nothing else. And now if I come over here and click on execute step, we can see that we do have a schema over here with just the image URL, which is again exactly what we needed. Let me actually pin this data, because now we're going to take this image URL, send it over to Veo3, so it can then go and generate the video ad for us. So to do that, I will simply come over here and search for an HTTP request, and we're using an HTTP request because we're going to access Veo3 with the exact same way we accessed Nanobanana. And as you can see, if I go over here to the AI video API, we have Veo3 API. So you simply click on it, and then you can come over here and click on Veo3 API documentation. Or you can just click the link in the description, because I will also link this page underneath this video. So then this opens up these docs over here, which again, do not get illuminated, guys, because the docs are our best friend. Now, if you see over here, we have a CURL, which is honestly the best thing in the world, because all we have to do is to simply come over here and copy it, and then we can come over to n8n, click on import CURL, simply come over here and paste in the snippet of code we just copied, and click on import. Alright, so now all I have to do is to simply come over here, click on execute step, and boom, you can see we successfully managed to send over the request, and over here we have the task ID. So let me actually come over here and pin this data, so do not have to rerun this. And now what I'm going to do is come over here and add in a wait node, simply because we do have to wait till the videos are done generating. So I will select it over here, and for the time I will put it on 2 minutes. It is more than enough. It's definitely going to get done earlier than that, but worst case scenarios, I will put it in 2 minutes. So now that the 2 minutes have passed, it's time to simply come over here and add in another HTTP request, and this time we're going to use this HTTP request to get the actual video that was just generated over in Veo3. So to do that, we need to navigate over to the docs and come over here to where it says get 1080p video. Simply select this one, and then over here, as you can see, we have a CURL. So I'll simply copy this, come back over to n8n, click on import CURL, simply paste it in over here, and then click on import. And this populates the vast majority of the settings for us, so we have to do very minimal configuration. Now the first thing we need to configure is obviously our authentication. So again, I will come over here, select generic credential type, then I will come over here and select header auth, and then I will come over here and select my key AI credentials. I will turn off the header parameters. And now if you go back over to the docs, you will see that we do have one more required parameter, which is a query parameter. So we need to come over here and turn this on. And the name of this parameter should be task ID, exactly as I have typed it over here. And over here in the value, we need to turn this into an expression and simply come over here, take in the task ID from our HTTP request and simply drag and drop it over here. Which means that after our wait node over here has finished running, which now that I'm thinking about it, let me actually put it in 3 minutes just to be super safe. We will be able to come over here and click on execute step. We can see that it did execute successfully over here, and we do have 3 items that it returned. And if I actually come over here and copy this URL and simply come over in my browser and paste it in, so if I actually play this,
finally made it out here. Feels great to disconnect, but keep the energy up.
Wow guys, this is actually pretty good. I'm honestly impressed myself. And now that we have the videos inside the n8n, we can do whatever we want with them. We can send them back in our Lovable interface by coming over here and searching for a respond to webhook node and simply changing this to all incoming items and executing the step. Or we can also upload them to a Google Sheet by coming over here and selecting append row in sheet. Then we simply would need to select our Google Sheets credentials. I will select mine over here. We'll leave this on sheet within document. We'll leave this on append row. You simply need to select a Google Sheet. I will select this one that is called videos. Then you also need to select the sheet number, and we can map them automatically if we want. I will leave it on map automatically and click on execute step, and boom, this did output the links inside the Google Sheet. And you can also use Google Drive if you want. For example, you simply have to come over here, select the upload file, and configure the settings and upload them over to Drive as well. So you basically can do anything with this app. So I think you guys can understand how valuable an app like this would be, because it basically allows you to create unlimited ads completely on autopilot, simply by you uploading an image of the product you want to promote. But building apps like this is one thing, but being able to monetize them is a completely different game, which I show you exactly how to do inside my school community. I show you how you can sell apps like this by using Upwork, by using cold email, and by building an audience on YouTube and on Instagram and leveraging this audience to sell your automations. And for some reason, I don't see nobody talking about these two methods. Everyone is talking about how you can sell automations on Upwork and with cold email, but no one is talking about the highest leverage methods, which are building an audience on YouTube and on Instagram. Simply because with this way, you are not the one that is chasing the clients are actually coming to you and asking you to build them the automations, which means that you can charge significantly higher prices as well, simply because you have a lot of social proof because of the audience you built. Plus, I have started a brand new series which is called Building a $1 Million SaaS, where I basically document the journey of me building my own AI SaaS exclusively inside the community. And guys, this is not like a side project that I'm doing. This is an actual business that I want to build, and I simply chose to document it exclusively inside the community. And if you join, you also get access to all the assets from all the videos that I have done. So you can simply open up this tab, simply locate the video you want the JSON from. Let's say I want the JSON from the day trading app that I have done. Simply have to click on the JSON, click on download, come over to n8n, click on these 3 dots on the top, click on import from file, select the file, and the whole automation is going to populate for you automatically without you having to do anything. And of course, it is going to include this automation that we built in this video. So make sure you click the link in the description and you come and join me and more than 160 members that are interested in AI and most importantly, making money with it. And I will be waiting for you inside the community. But also YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video in which I built a $1 million app using just Lovable and n8n. So make sure you go and watch that next. And I will see you over there.